The Odyssey, Book 12. If you remember, Book 11, The Land of the Dead, he goes down and visits Tiresias. He gets his reward from the hero's journey. The reward, of course, is the Tiresian prophecy, which basically said, if you leave the cattle of Lord Helios alone, you'll be fine. You'll get home, smooth sails. If you eat the cattle, if you destroy the cattle, it'll be a long, arduous journey home. That is the Tiresian prophecy. So again, if ordeal, death, and rebirth, if that is Hades, the land of the dead, remember the approach, Circe taught him how to get to a secret hidden place. He goes to the land of the dead to meet Tiresias. Of course, Tiresias is in the underworld, he has passed on. And the reason he does it is the reward, which is the Tiresian prophecy, which is the cattle. So, that brings us to Book 12. So he leaves the underworld, and he's going to come across many trials and tribulations and monsters and enemies, including Sirens, Scylla, and Charybdis. I believe these are all on your character chart. Just looking at it, I don't see the Sirens, but there are certainly Scylla and Charybdis. Scylla is spelled with an I. It can sometimes be spelled with a Y. And Charybdis is right here. They are kind of two beasts that he must slay. And then that's basically what the Sirens are as well. Again, if you go to, week 3, I asked you about the character chart to keep filling it out. Plus, I gave you a link on Friday, 5/1, to Shmoop and Lit Circles, so you can fill out some of these names. But hopefully you know them. Circe. That's the witch. Calypso is also a witch, but Circe is the one that turned his men into swines, and Calypso is where he's been in prison for 7 years. We're going to meet Scylla and Charybdis. Certainly know Polyphemus, who is the Cyclops, and of course Alcinous. This is the king, also spelled Alcinous, the king who he washes up on shore, and basically has this flashback. So we're almost the king. We are this audience that has said, oh my gosh, you're Odysseus? Where have you been? What has happened to you? And that's when he says, well, let me tell you. And so he is sort of telling us the story, and we're kind of the eyes of Alcinous. Again, this is for your part right now. Plus, like I said on week 3, 5/1, you can look up characters as well. But it's to keep everyone straight. Again, I overlooked the Sirens. We're going to read about the Sirens, Charybdis, and Scylla here momentarily. So as Marvin Gaye said, let's get it on. We've got Book 12, the Sirens, Scylla, and Charybdis. Odysseus and his men returned to Circe's island. One reason he went there is a good soldier. He had a man that member broke his neck and lay unburied. He went to do what a good soldier would do. His men know it's dangerous, but he's got your back. If you need something taken care of in the afterlife, you need to be properly buried. Odysseus will do it. So he goes back, takes care of his men, and talks to Circe. And then said the lady Circe, so all those trials are over. Listen with care. Listen with care. Sorry, there we go. To this now, and God will arm your mind. Square in your ship's path are the Sirens, crying beauty to bewitch men, coasting by. Woe to the innocent who hears that sound. He will not see his lady nor his children enjoy. Crowding about him home from the sea, the Sirens will sing his mind away on their sweet meadow lolling. There's some alliteration. The Sirens will sing in sweet meadow lolling. There are bones of dead men rotting in the piles beside them, and flayed skins shriveled around the spot. Steer wide, keep well away to seaward, plug your oarsmen's ears with beeswax kneaded soft. None of them will resist that song, but if you, Odysseus, wish to let the men tie you to the lugger, hand and foot, back to the mast, lashed to the mast, so you may hear those harpies' thrills, shout as you will, begging to be untied, your crew must only twist more line around you and keep their stroke up till the singers fade. Well, so the Siren Song, beware of the Siren's Song. This gives you an idea. Now, if you actually did some of that supplemental work, there's a great video on the Odysseus 1 and 2, it's called The Curse of the Gods, I believe. It We watched the one in class about Zeus, but there's 2 parts for Odysseus, and it gives you possible explanations as to what these things might be. Now, if you're an average sailor, you probably don't, or if you're an average Greek and not a sailor, I should say, you probably never got more than 5 miles from your house your whole life. So you would hear these strange tales, and remember, these people want to understand the world around them. Now, there is an island in the Aegean where it's concave, and so it has like this echo chamber, so you can be far away and you can hear these sounds on the island. And there are these seals that live there. And when they bark, make these sounds, it does kind of sound interesting and beguiling, like you might want to steer your ship towards it. That's the physical possible explanation. And they almost look like mermaids, like a seal from far away. But it is the parable. As always with myth, it is the story being told. Beware of the siren song. That is, it's a metaphor. Beware of something alluring that can steer you off your ship. The whole idea was these enchantresses would sing such a beautiful song no man can resist. For those of you that have seen the Coen Brothers movie, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? They meet the sirens in there. In fact, that whole movie's about Ulysses. That's the Greek name for, or the Roman name for Odysseus. Odysseus, is given this knowledge, and he does not want to crash his ship, because the idea is the siren song, this thing that allures people to steer you off your course and have you wreck your ship. In the Odyssey, it's literally these women that sing so beautifully, sailors couldn't resist, and they'd steer towards this island, and they would crash on the rocks. Even though they knew it was coming, they couldn't resist because the song was so beautiful. Here's the question. What in life can pull men off their course, can pull a person off of their course, and then, destroy their life? Think about guys in the NFL who have trouble with drugs and alcohol. That steers them off their course. Power. Men have always sought power, and by man I mean human, have always sought power, and that has often steered people off their course. It can be something small in your life. Is there something that has steered you off your course? Chocolate. For some, it's alcohol, maybe, or it could be something smaller, laziness or self-doubt. But it's the idea that there are these things in life that pull at you, and you have to be strong and resist them so as to not sink your own ship. That's the metaphor. That's the story to learn. And Odysseus, remember, he's curious, and with Greeks, it's all about the balance. You can have curiosity, but don't be overly curious. You can indulge, but don't be overly indulgent. Lead a balanced life. That's why they had those Dionysian festivals. They would blow off steam. That's why we have Mardi Gras. Blow off steam. Lead a balanced life. So Odysseus, he's curious. So he basically plugs his men's ears with wax so they can't hear, and they keep rowing, but he is tied to the mast, so he can hear the siren song because he's curious, but he'll be in no position to wreck the ship. So he's got this knowledge. And till the singer's fate. What then? So what's after the sirens that she's going to warn him about? One of 2 courses you may take, and you yourself must weigh them. I shall not plan the whole action for you now, but only tell you of them both. So there's the sirens, and then 2 other dangers, Scylla and Charybdis. Ahead are beetling rocks and dark blue, glancing aphetrite. Surging roars around them, prowling rocks or drifters. The gods in bliss have named them well. Not even birds can pass them by. A second course lies between headlands. One is a sharp mountain piercing the sky, with storm cloud round the peak, dissolving never, nor in the brightest summer to show heaven's azure there, nor in the fall. No mortal man could scale it, nor so much as land there. Not with 20 hands and feet, so sheer the cliffs are as a polished stone. Midway that height there is a cavern, full of mist, open toward Erebus and evening sky. Skirting to in this lugger, great Odysseus, your master bowman, shooting from the deck, would come short of the cave mouth with his shaft. About that is the den of Scylla, where she yaps. Abominable, a newborn whelp's cry, though she is huge and monstrous. God or man, no one could look on her in joy. Her legs her legs, and there are 12, are like great tentacles, unjointed, and upon her serpent necks are borne 6 heads like nightmares of ferocity, with triple seared rows of fangs, deep gullets of black death. Half her length she sways her heads in air outside her horrid cleft, haunting the sea around the promontory for dolphins, dogfish, or what bigger game thundering Aphrodite feeds in thousands. And no ship's company can claim to have passed her without loss and grief. She takes from every ship 1 man for every gullet, every mouth. The opposite point seems more a tongue of land you'd touch with a bowshot at the Narrows, a great wild fig, a shaggy mass of leaves grows on it, and Charybdis lurks below to swallow down the dark sea tide. 3 times from dawn till dusk she spews it up and sucks it down again 3 times, a whirling maelstrom. If you come upon her, then the god who makes earth tremble could not save you. No, hug the cliff of Scylla. So she's saying, after the sirens, there's going to be 2 choices. You can go by Scylla or Charybdis. Charybdis is a giant whirlpool that's going to probably bring down your whole ship. Scylla is this 5-headed hydra, and every time you cut off a head, it grows back 2 more, and it will take a man for each mouth. And you've got to make a choice. Let's see what he'll do. So she says, her advice, no, hug the cliff toward Scylla. Take your ship through on a racing stroke. Better to mourn 6 men, or I guess maybe she's 6-headed, I always forget, and lose them in the ship too. Better to be attacked by the monster than to go down in the maelstrom, to go down in the whirlpool, because that'll sink your whole ship. No, it's going to be hard, because good men will die, but sometimes leaders have to make tough choices. So her advice ran, but I faced her, saying, only instruct me, goddess, if you will. How, if it's possible, can I pass by Charybdis or fight off Scylla when she raids my crew? Like, how can I get by both? Swiftly the loveliest goddess answered me, must you have battle in your heart forever, the bloody toil of combat? Old contender, will you not yield to the immortal gods? That nightmare cannot die. Being eternal, evil itself, horror and pain and chaos, there is no fighting her, nor power can fight her. And all that avails is flight. Loose headway there. Along that rock face along that rock face, while you break out arms or weapons, and she'll swoop over you, I fear, once more, taking 1 man again for every gullet. No. Pull at your backs into it, row on, invoke blind force that bore this scourge of men to keep her from a second strike against you. Then will you coast Thriantia, the island where Helios cattle graze, fine herds and flocks of goodly sheep. The herds and flocks are 7, with 50 beasts in each. No lambs are dropped or calves, and these fat cattle never die. Immortal, too, their cowherds are, their shepherds. And there's the shepherds' names there. Sweetly braided nymphs that divine Neaera bore to the overlord of high noon, Helios. These nymphs their gentle mother bred and placed upon Thriantia, the distant land, in care of flocks and cattle for their father. Now give those kine wide berth. Stay away. We already know this from Tiresias. Keep your thoughts intent upon your course home, and hard seafaring brings you all to Ithaca. But if you raid these cattle, I see destruction for crew and ship alike. Rough years then lie between you and your homecoming, alone and old, the one survivor, all companions lost. We already know this. This was the Tiresian prophecy. So he's going to set out, and he's got all these challenges yet. He's got to get by the Sirens, he's got to get by Scylla and Charybdis, and then the cattle of the Lord Helios. These are the things we will be looking forward to as we continue Book 12 soon.